makers. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something very personal to me. As you know from the title, my diary in a dollhouse. My diary, so to speak. I don't really keep a journal, but it's just sort of a memoir. It's a visual representation of my life. I made this dollhouse. I made it out of an old 1920s Art Deco radio cabinet that a friend of mine gave to me. They were moving out of town and they couldn't take a lot of furniture. This used to be the top level of the it wasn't a dollhouse. This used to be the top level of the radio, and then I added on this binder. It was a 3-ring binder that I just took the rings out of, and then I cut a piece of wood for the front, and then just added some drawer pulls to match the sort of Art Deco style of the rest of it. I'll show a picture of a similar cabinet. I don't actually have the picture of this cabinet before I painted it, but I have some pictures of the inside before I painted. Everything inside of it represents my past, good memories that I had from growing up. So I'm going to take you through that project. I started it years ago. I don't have video footage or even photographs of every step in the process because I just started filming recently, but I will show you as much as I do have. I know a lot of people really love antiques and maybe they wouldn't necessarily have painted it, but when I go online I see hundreds of these types of radios, and I feel like sometimes with antiques we have to make something new out of them in order for them to continue on into the future. So we'll get into the video. I'll show you what I have so far and then finish up a few bits and bobs, get your input, and we'll see how it goes. Jumping right in with the before pictures, what I have. I started this years ago and then it kind of sat for a while. So this is where we are for the outside. It was inspired by watching videos of like Ashley Vortman and other miniature creators and kind of got it going on the inside. And I'll show you the different steps that I did to installing all of that. Starting on the top floor, the theme is music. It's mostly representative of my early childhood. My mom's a musician and music was a huge part of our life. So you'll see record player, radio, all things related to music. This mural on the ceiling, I had a replica of that. My mom did for me when I was like 11 or 12. Basically, all kinds of memories from when I was growing up, sort of up until 10 or 12, I guess. And this is how it all looks together, installed, and that's kind of basically complete. The next layer is my sewing room. So this image, I made a frame for it out of popsicle sticks. It's just cut out of the newspaper, but it kind of suited the style of the room. This is the back of the inside where the knobs and stuff would have been and the dials for the radio. I covered them with different drawer pulls. Now we're getting onto the furniture. I made this shelf out of a tray, cut out those little circles of paper to cover the tray holes so you didn't know that it was a tray anymore. And then I just installed popsicle sticks to be the shelves and painted everything. And then I made these plants to go on it. These are wooden leaves shoved in clay inside of a bottle cap. Then the next one is little tiny earrings. You can see the little earring back. And I just made these pots by rolling up paper. So you can see that it's just like cardboard rolled up to make little flower pots. This last one is just like florist material. So it was already kind of in the shape of a plant and I just stuck it in there. These are just florist leaves that I just bunched together and shoved into this wooden pot. So I kind of just using up supplies that I have already. My grandma used to be a florist, so we have little things kicking around from doing flower arrangements. These little bottles I just filled up with odds and ends. There's this moss. There's this little pom-pom. I feel like the moss and the pom-pom just look so good together, like little woodland fairy stuff. I don't know. These message in a bottles, they were already like that, but I did change out some of the paper for the right colors just so it would go with the color scheme. Similarly, these ones also had the plants inside of them, but it went with my color scheme, so I just added them. These last couple of bottles are empty, and I don't know what I should put in them. Maybe buttons, or I was thinking little tiny spools of thread. It is the sewing room after all, so I have to come up with some ideas. Comment down below if you have any ideas of what I could do to fill those jars in the sewing room. This table I made from just a flat piece of wood that I put dowels on with hot glue. This one is also just a piece of flat wood with popsicle sticks glued on it to make a shelf for my fabric and little beads for the feet. I just folded up scrap fabrics and pieces of ribbon to kind of make it look like it's a shelf full of large fabric. I don't know. It's a miniature fabric shelf. At the top, there's a couple of bolts of fabric, which I did by wrapping ribbon around a dowel, and then I made a couple extras to just go randomly in the room. I think they turned out really cute, and they really look like bolts of fabric to me. And to finish off the sewing room, I have this carousel horse. My grandma used to make these out of old toy horses, those little jumping horses, and they were really beautiful, so I just wanted to represent that. This one's made out of an ornament. And then I made a dress form out of one of those posable art figure drawing things. I just kind of broke it apart and filled in all the extra holes and just used the torso and one leg piece to make it into a dress form. And this cactus I got from the thrift store. It's basically in good shape. The only thing wrong with it was this one little chip. Otherwise, it's perfect condition. So I picked that up. I went on the hunt for a miniature sewing machine, and I found this. It's actually a functioning sewing machine. It works kind of like a stapler, just for doing like repairs on the go kind of thing. I thought it was really cute for the dollhouse. It's a little bit oversized, but it still works. Here's everything going in place. Here's my disco balls that I installed. They actually shine disco light on the ceiling. My cousin gave me that idea, and I just think they look so cute. And that kind of wraps up the main middle floor. That's the sewing room. It's pretty much finished. Moving down to the bottom floor, there's another popsicle stick frame and some little shadow box shelves. This wreath I made with grapevines from my backyard. And then I just put this broken necklace on it and kind of made a chandelier out of it. Another shelf and my fairy door. I painted this separately, but I thought it looked really good in the color scheme, so I ended up adding it to the dollhouse. I made this plant using the gramophone and some other different stuff, and pottery and sculpting. It just turned out so good. If you know, you know. It's my Audrey 3. This furniture, I got little stuff from the dollar store and then glued it together to make taller pieces. Here's everything going in, but I have a lot of stuff that's not finished yet. So let's go along and finish some of the stuff, including this miniature fairy door. It's going to be the cat door. I had some leftover paint from another project. I'm going to use that. I painted the door brown to kind of match the other door. I wish I had color matched better because this is actually not very close brown. I should have tuned up the color. Started painting the gray and instantly realized that it's like the exact same color that the bricks already are. So really, what am I doing here? rather than let it dry, I just wiped it off because I'm impatient and I don't like waiting for things. Just doing my best to get all of the gray paint off. Speaking of impatient, let's just get a second coat on there. Schwabam. And that's something from Ashley, if you know, you know. I decided to go back over all the bricks and replace the sort of antiquing look. I went around everywhere. You just kind of smear it on and then wipe it off. That's basically the technique. And the paint will stay in all the nooks and crannies. It feels weird because you're just like painting over everything with black, but it looks good when you wipe it off. And check out this paint blob. That's a serious paint blob. I was a little bit nervous in this part because I was worried that all of the brown paint would wipe off the brick. Like there was the stone that the door is made out of. It's like a clay or porcelain, but it did all right. The brown paint held up, and now the wood's a little bit darker. It's still not a perfect match, but better than it was. Oh, painting in this flower was a little bit hectic as well. I think I should have used like a smaller brush because the paint was really globby and it kind of like filled up all of the details. I painted the handle purple, but I really don't think you can even tell. Anyways. I was comparing it to the other fairy door and realized that it needed some moss on it to match a little bit better. So I just kind of went around with some green paint and tried to make it look mossy. You know how stones get green when they're wet for a long time? All right, moving on to this desk. It's just from the dollar store. The drawers don't actually work. Everything's just put in place. I want the lower level to be the artist room, but it's also like the ooky spooky kind of room. It has art easels. It has random witchy kind of stuff. Like a crystal ball and skulls and mushrooms and that kind of witch core aesthetic. Going in for a first coat with this purple. Kind of go with the purple theme of the room. And then I should have checked what other furniture was in the room, but I didn't check. So I went in with a pink front, and then as soon as I did it, I realized that pretty much everything around it was already pink, so I hate it. So here you can watch a big waste of my time while I try to really get in around all these little nooks and crannies and details with the pink paint before I realize that it's atrocious and I hate it. Say goodbye to the froggy band-aid. It's gone now. And this is me realizing that I hate the pink and it has to go. I thought that I could like do an easy fix with the My Posca and that would like make it easier to get in and around all the little nooks and crannies. It turns out the tip of the Posca was like too big to get in behind the little knobby thing. So that's not gonna work. Here we go again with the paintbrush. At least this will get into all of the little cracks and crevices. I will end up having to go back and fix up the purple paint because things just kind of got everywhere. But don't you just love redoing your work over and over and over again? No, it's all worth it in the end. You clean up all those details. Working on this dollhouse has been really cathartic for me. I find that a lot of times it's really easy for us to remember the stressful times in our life. Our body naturally holds on to traumatic memories in order to help protect us from falling into those situations in the future. But it's a lot more difficult, or maybe it takes more conscious effort to remember good times. This project was really good for that because I was able to represent so many good memories in so many little ways. So whether you're doing a dollhouse, whether you're keeping a journal or a junk journal or doing collages, I just definitely recommend that you take stock of the good memories that are happening every day, the little stuff, the big stuff, because your body's naturally going to come to your rescue and remember everything horrible, every embarrassing thing that you said, every bad, moment that you've ever had is going to be cemented in there. So you have to do the work kind of to add good memories into that pile, I guess. Keep accessing those good memories, keep bringing them up, keep talking about them. I've seen people do like a jar where they just write down good things that happened to them throughout the year and then stick that little note in a jar. And at the end of the year, they can kind of like, or even on bad days, you don't have to wait a whole year, but anytime you want, you can just look in there and read all those notes and see all the good stuff. Whatever method works for you, if you're a writer, if you're a painter, if you're a crafter, just do something cathartic, do some memory art, because I really think that it's good for the soul. Here I'm working on another table that I just made out of garbage. I try to use garbage in most of my art. I know with this dollhouse, a lot of the furniture was pre-made stuff. I do try to use up weird found objects as much as I can. So this table I made with an empty spool of ribbon and some empty candy containers. And this old felt flower I'm just painting up to be a tablecloth to kind of cover the hole left from the ribbon spool. I thought that it needed to be jazzed up a little bit more to match the table, so I just went around with the end of my paintbrush and added dots on the tablecloth. This is going to be sort of like a fortune teller's table with a crystal ball. I will end up realizing later that I lost the crystal ball to my crystal ball. It was a marble that I found, and I don't know what happened to it. It was, you'll see. Anyways, you'll see. Here I am doing dots. I think I'd do another round of dots maybe off camera. This is another piece that I got from the dollar store. I could have probably built this little basket out of popsicle sticks, but, we can't all be perfect all the time. I went for a two-tone look, just kind of going around the top edge with this pink, but I left the interior of the basket raw wood. Just a design choice, I guess. I also got these buckets at the dollar store. I think I want to do like a hanging plant with them. Put like a little ribbon and hang them from the ceiling. I have a couple of them on the pink layer, on my sewing layer, and I usually hang a spool of fabric out of them, but maybe I'll turn it into a plant on the second level too. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video, if you want to see more. There's definitely a lot more stuff that I want to keep working on, little finishing details that I want to do, and I even already have some footage ready to go for another video, so I really hope you guys do like this. And I just want to say thank you to my subscribers. It means a ton to me that you guys are following along, and I apologize for missing out on last week's video. I was house sitting for my sister, and I couldn't get it together in time to get the video out on Tuesday, so I do apologize. But there will be some upcoming videos of my time that I spent there. We redid my sister's bedroom, so stay tuned, see how that turned out. Here we are, just putting everything away where it goes, and I thought this was really cute. I had a big skull and then a tiny skull bead, so this is like your head shrinking table, which is also kind of metaphor for, head shrinking. Go get some therapy. Anyways, filling in all the little bits and bobs, trying to make it look, furnished. I don't know if you can hear my cat purring, but he's really loud. So I painted these easels black, but I don't know what I want to do for the art on, should I leave them blank? Should I do miniatures of my own art? Should I do miniatures of artists that I love? You guys let me know what you think I should paint on the canvases, because I can't decide. And here we go. This was my crystal ball, and there was a little marble that sat up on top of it, but I've lost the marble. I've lost my marbles. Anyways, This is where we're at so far. Everything's in place. Oh, and who's that? Who's that with those glasses on? Next time I do a dollhouse video, we'll see me making that doll. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for watching and go make some garbage art. Bye.